welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and today, oh my gosh, it's over the top. I'm super excited and thrilled. Guess what? We have an icon and a legend in the building, Bruce Merrin of Bruce Merrin Celebrity Speakers and Public Relation. Welcome, Bruce. It's so wonderful to have you here. How are you, love?
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. And the key thing is I'm a living legend. That's the key.
Yes, you
Right.
are. You're a
Yes.
living legend. And I wanted to give a super warm welcome to you because you are so important and you're so special. And I want to tell you how much you mean to us and the entertainment industry and so many people. You have touched the lives of so many, Bruce. And I just want to thank you for being a classy, top-notch, ethical and moral and just a wonderful, super special guy.
AJ, I appreciate it. And the bottom line is I have such passion for what I do. So if you really love what you do, you can have fun. And I certainly have fun.
You sure do. And let's talk about you being a legend. First of all, you're in Las Vegas, right? Right now, right, Bruce?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We actually moved as a family in 1956. I was 12 years old and my dad was president of the Flamingo Hotel. So as a teenager, a young teenager, my dad and mom took me to all of the biggest shows right here in Las Vegas. Sammy Davis Jr., Judy Garland, Lena Horne, Dean Martin, Liberace, Ella Fitzgerald, on and on. So entertainment really got in my blood. But I think you'll like this story because this gives you an idea. I'm 12 years old and mom and dad take me to see Sammy Davis Jr. at the Sands Hotel. And I knew, I had heard about Sammy Davis Jr., but I was still a young guy. So I see the entire show. We're sitting in the front row of Sammy Davis Jr. He always ends every show with Mr. Bojangles. I was knocked out. I had never seen an entertainer like Sammy Davis Jr. We went backstage and I shook his hand. I said, Mr. Davis, this is the most amazing show that I've ever seen. And I looked at my mom and dad. I said, Mom and Dad, I know that I want to work in entertainment. So that's the very, very beginning, Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow, what an incredible story. And that was destiny. I believe in destiny.
Me too, absolutely.
And that was your intro right there of what you are supposed to do, where you're supposed to be. And you have what's wonderful about you, Bruce, is not everyone has the personality to be a public relations and PR person. You have to be really sharp and know trends and marketing, advertising, all kinds of things. And you have to have incredible communication skills. Where did you get that? How did you form it? Or did you always have that, Bruce?
Well, that's a great question. And the answer is one word, mom. My mom. I owe everything in my life to my mom, literally everything in my life. She means the world to me, and I'll never forget everything that she has done. Mom and dad had a beautiful love story. They were from Brooklyn and the Bronx, and they met at the University of Missouri Journalism School. Okay, in Missouri they met, and through their love story, that's how I was born. But they both were really good journalists. So when I was in junior high, mom said to me in junior high, Bruce, I think it would be great if you take some journalism classes. So I followed my mom's advice. I took journalism. Then in high school, thanks to her, I was a sports editor of my newspaper. And at UCLA, I was the sports editor of my newspaper. But again, one story about mom, because this really tells the whole story. I'm about to graduate from Grant High School. And she says, Bruce, I think you would be great if you took theater arts and film at UCLA. It was mom's idea. So I enrolled at UCLA and I had the most amazing time as a film and theater arts student. And when I graduated, this is the final story. There's so many about mom, but you'll love this. So I'm graduating. And mom says to me, you know what? I think you would be great if you can get a job at MGM Studios, the biggest studio in the world. And it was very close to where we lived. So I said, Mom, I'm going to go and try to get a job. I got the job the next day. So I'm in my office. I'm a young kid, but I'm working at MGM. The president of MGM comes into my office. He says, Bruce, we have a new film. It's called Elvis on Tour. I'd like you to have lunch in the commissary with Elvis Presley because I want you to meet him and you can handle the PR on the film. So again, thanks to my mom, I go to the commissary, AJ, and I'm in the commissary with Elvis, and I meet him, and I smile at him, and I say, Elvis, we're going to really get along great. We are both mama's boys. And he loved that. So everything in my entire life really goes back to my mom. I owe everything in my life to her.
Incredible, incredible. So I want to say thank you, Mom, and to all the moms out there. What a great influence. And because she should just, they were journalists, both your parents, and she suggested MGM. I loved MGM. That's where all the studio star system was from. They are the ones that were cranking out movies nonstop, right? Every month there was like two
Wizard
or
of
three.
Oz, just to give you an example. But yeah, and because I worked at MGM, besides doing PR and all that, I visited all the legendary sets. So it was an amazing experience for me. And it's an experience working at MGM that I'll never, ever forget. But obviously working with Elvis was such a treat. I'm here, a young kid out of film school, and the first entertainer I ever work with is Elvis Presley, you know, my idol.
Your idol. And you know, we have a picture of him with Frank Sinatra on the screen here. And what was it like to be with Elvis, working with him? Was he as nice and gentle and down to earth as everyone has said, Bruce?
He absolutely was. He was the epitome of a Southern gentleman. He was kind, he was humble, he was so appreciative and also generous. Talking about in the film industry, because I worked with him on so many of his films. At the end of every film that Elvis did, he would give the most elaborate gifts to everybody that was part of the crew, not just the actors and the actresses, the grips, the electricians, you name it. So he was very, very, very generous and so appreciative and courteous. So I have the ultimate respect for Elvis, and it was a pleasure working with him. And of course, because of that, I did work with the Colonel, and this is a story you'll get a kick out of. So sadly, Elvis left us all too early. He goes to heaven way too early. So I get a call from Colonel Parker after Elvis sadly had departed for heaven. He says, Bruce, we're coming out with a new product. It's called Elvis Presley Wines. I want you, Bruce Merrin PR, to handle the PR on the Elvis Presley Wines. So I did do that. So Elvis, even after he went to heaven, was part of my life. And it was a big success, obviously, because it was Elvis Presley.
Yes, that is amazing. Are they still, was that just a limited time, a special wine?
It was. That's a very good question. It was a limited time and a limited edition. I mean, there were a lot of the wine, a lot of cases. But when I knew that I was going to be handling the PR, we had a news conference. I got all the Elvis Presley fan clubs involved. It sold out pretty quickly. But it was a great tribute to Elvis because, you know, my entire life I loved him so much. And again, going back to Vegas, when I was living in Vegas, 12 and 13 years old, Elvis was my favorite artist that I would hear on the radio. You know, Don't Be Cruel and Jailhouse Rock and all Teddy Bear. They were all songs that I was listening to here in Vegas before I met Elvis. So when I heard from the president that I was able to meet Elvis, it was like just absolutely amazing. And another story that you'll love. So I'm in the commissary with Elvis, and we're talking, and he pulls out, back then it was a wallet, you know, there were photos, there was no Apple iPhones. He pulls out a picture of Lisa Marie. She was a little baby. And he said,
Oh,
Bruce, I am so proud. I want you to see this photo. And it was like a color photo, a Kodak photo. Isn't that amazing?
that's incredible. You know, what a phenomenal guy. What a genuine, authentic, heartfelt entertainer and human being. And I can see what an impression he made. What a special moment that you have forever. You know, you have a lot of those memories, Bruce. You're so You're full of great memories like this. What a beautiful life you've had so far, and it's going to get even better. But I have two questions. Did you get to taste the wine, and what kind of gifts did Elvis give out?
Well, very expensive gifts, Rolex watches, very expensive
Wow.
crystal. I mean, they were expensive things. They weren't just like little things because he was so generous. I remember after one of the films, I think it was Viva Las Vegas, he gave a car to a number of the people, in the production. So he was the most generous person that I've ever seen. And I will say, because we're talking about him in Vegas, and I'm here in Vegas now for all these years, his shows at the International rank among obviously the best shows that I've ever seen. He closed every show. It was called the Trilogy. Every show, like if you Google, you'll see the Trilogy, and it's where he intertwines three different songs at the very end of his show. And I get chills just thinking about it. But when you're in the showroom and you're hearing him, it's just like, it's unbelievable. Because as you know, we can put on beautiful CDs and hear people like Adele or Celine Dion, and they're great. But when you're in a showroom, he had such a powerful voice. That Trilogy song, I'll never, ever, ever forget.
Yes. Oh, wow. What, just to even be there in that theater, in that, and among the, in that energy and in that environment, what a treat and a treasure, Bruce. And also, I do want to ask though, did you, when you promoted the wine, did you get to taste it? Did you get a bottle?
Oh yeah, in fact, I wish, because again, this goes back whatever year he died, and sadly, it's a long time ago. I did have a lot of the bottles of the wine, but when I moved here to Vegas, which I've now been here 33 years, I didn't take those bottles with me. But Frontenac Vineyards was the wine company, and they were really good wines. But what made them so special is a special artist did 4 different versions of beautiful Elvis Presley renderings.
Wow.
So that's why the fans really love them, because the labels were of Elvis. So it was something that everybody will never forget.
Incredible. What is the name of the company again?
Frontenac Vineyards. They were in Wisconsin. I actually had to travel to Wisconsin and meet the people at the winery. I'm still good friends with the president. But anyway, yeah, all the memories with Elvis I'll never forget. But as you know, my mom was instrumental in everything. As you know, Johnny Carson and Michael Landon were my first 2 entertainment clients after Elvis, and I met them thanks to my mom. Johnny
Amazing.
Carson, and Michael Landon. So I just can't go on and on enough about how much my mom means to me.
Oh, yeah, moms are so important. And when you have a loving mom like that, it really does help you in life, in your support system, because I believe moms are our first cheerleaders to help us build confidence and the right way to go. And you know what? She loves you so much, because I believe there's a heaven. So I
Oh
just,
yes, oh
yeah.
yes. And here's another mom story that you'll love. So I'm at the UCLA Film School, and your show, a lot of people who are actors and producers and directors and work in the industry will appreciate this. At UCLA, you had to take 1 year of acting. And the reason you had to take the acting was, most of us were in the film school, didn't want to become actors or actresses, but they said you need to stand in the shoes of an actor or an actress and really experience what it's like. So my acting instructor, and to show you how great she was, I mean, how many years ago is this? I still remember her name, Mrs. Folger. Anyway, she selected me out of all the male students to play the lead in Tea and Sympathy, a very famous Tony Award-winning theatrical play, and I played the lead, Tom Lee. But this goes back to my mom, because my mom said when you go to UCLA, she had researched, she says, you're going to have to take acting classes, and she says, that'll really help you. And it was an experience. You'll appreciate this as somebody in the industry. I will never forget
Yeah.
performing in Tea and Sympathy in front of thousands of people at Royce Hall. Even though I didn't want to be an actor, it was
Yes.
an experience that I'll never forget.
I love it. And how did it feel acting in front of that? Was it fun? Did you have a good time?
I did. I mean, it was the most nervous, opening night.
Yeah.
I've never been that nervous in my life. Because even though we did all the run-throughs and the lines, it's one thing to do rehearsals, but when you've got an audience out there, I remember peeking through the curtain because, my mom and dad, a lot of family were out there. So my heart was pounding. But the great thing, and you appreciate this, once, whether you're acting in TV or film or the theater, once you get into it, then you're that character. And
Yes.
what's really interesting, Tea and Sympathy was really a groundbreaking play. It covered some themes that in some ways had never been covered before. So to be able to be an actor in that is something I'll never forget. So yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Oh, what a lovely experience. Thank you for sharing that so much.
Yes.
Thank you for all these wonderful memories. And speaking of good acting, we have a picture of Fran Drescher on your show right now, and I absolutely love and adore her. Of course, she is SAG-AFTRA, our president as well, and you've represented her. Is that right, Bruce?
Yes, I was so lucky. As you know, I have the two companies. I have Bruce Merrin PR, and then I have Bruce Merrin Celebrity Speakers. In our Celebrity Speakers company, we book very famous speakers and entertainers. And the story in California, the way it goes, there's a very big hospital in the Pomona area, and they're one of the biggest cancer research hospitals in the world, and they also treat cancer patients. And they came to me and they said, Bruce, we really want to book Fran Drescher. She's had some experiences with cancer. She has a nonprofit called Cancer Schmancer. She says, Bruce, can you book Fran Drescher? I said, I've not booked Fran before, but I'm such a big fan of her with a nanny and everything else. I'll get to Fran right away. And as soon as I got her on the phone, and as soon as I heard her voice, it was like, man, talk about being in heaven, because I was such a big fan of hers anyway. But anyway, she did do the engagement. It was at that Pomona Hospital area. She got a standing ovation. There were 5,000 people there. And you'll appreciate this. You talk about some of the nice people in the entertainment industry. She agreed to doing a news conference with media, which she didn't have to do it, but she said, Bruce, I think some people would like to talk to me. I'll do that. So she did do that. And then afterward, a lot of times after the speaking, the people who have done the speaking, they go off the stage and they collect their money and get into the limo. At the end of her talk, her handlers were going to whisk her off the stage. She says, hey, Bruce out there, I think some of these people want to ask some questions. She stayed there 30 minutes, Fran Drescher, answering questions from the audience. That's what kind of an amazing woman. And as you said, the SAG president. So yeah, working with Fran was great. I wound up working with her on other speaking engagements, but that was the first one. Beautiful, beautiful experiences. And as you know, she lives right there in Southern California.
I love this. I love hearing this. And look at us. We're all wearing blue.
Yes.
You're wearing blue. I'm wearing blue. And Fran in her photos wearing blue. I'm going to tag Fran. I hope it's okay. I'm going to try to tag her.
Of course. Are you good?
Or her Facebook profile. And we want to say hello and we love you, Fran. Right, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. She was so amazing. Because as I said, she really went the extra mile. Some of the speakers show up, they do their talk, and they're out. She did so much more. She did not have to do that news conference with the media. She said she knew, because there were over 5,000 people that were coming there, that people would probably like to talk to her. Well, of course, they loved speaking with her. And she just has an absolute heart of gold. She's very funny. Obviously, I like to use this expression from the Tom Cruise film, that expression, you had me at hello. Remember that line? Well, Fran, when she came out on the stage, she had everybody at hello. So it makes me proud, because for 50 years, we've been booking very famous people like Fran. And when they do such a wonderful job and impact the lives, it makes me feel really good.
It really does. And it's a wonderful thing. And Bruce, I'm so proud of you booking her and completing such a wonderful, successful event. And she is an absolute doll. And when I say doll, I mean that in the most highest compliment. And because I love the word doll. I mean, if someone said, hey, AJ, you're a great doll, I love that compliment too.
Yes,
it's kind of a Rat Pack a term, isn't it, Bruce? Would you say, doll?
I agree. I think it's beautiful. You know, I have my beloved Mocha, and
Yes.
I speak fluent Spanish. Muñequita is one of her nicknames. That's doll.
Oh.
Muñequita, little doll.
Yes, we want to say a
Yes.
special hi to Mocha
Yes. Hello,
out
Mocha.
there.
Muñequita.
Hi, Mocha. We love you too.
Yes.
You're awesome.
Yes.
And she's so beautiful as well. So you
Thank
have
you.
a winner there. You're so blessed. Both
Thank
of you are blessed to have each other.
Yes.
Bruce, on the screen now is some of the wonderful companies you have gotten to work with over the years. These are so impressive. You've got Whole Foods, Walt Disney, Visa, UPS, Rolls-Royce, oh my gosh, Oracle, Nike. Of course, I love Nike. You know, I'm in Nike land here.
Yes, I know.
NBC, Microsoft, Intel, IBM. Wow, all the great Google, Fox, FedEx.
We've been so fortunate because on the celebrity speaker side, our target audience is Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. So we book our speakers for groups like that. We work with other audiences too, but the corporate arena is our biggest area. And I must share it because obviously there are 8 million stories to share, but Steve Jobs is a real hero to me, was a big hero to me. And I had an opportunity to book Dr. Wayne Dyer, who probably one of the most famous motivational, inspirational speakers of all time. Yeah. So we booked him with Steve Jobs, and I got to meet Steve Jobs at that event. And like I said, he's such a hero to me. When we hold up our iPhone, when you think of what he created, it's amazing. So that's the other thing for me. Not only do I get to book the most amazing speakers in the world, I get to meet some of the biggest CEOs that you can mention. Another example would be Richard Branson, a huge hero to me. I mean, I absolutely love Richard Branson. Yeah. And here in Vegas, a couple of years ago, I had a big group that wanted to book Richard Branson at the Aria. And of course, he's a billionaire. He's a wealthy guy. He didn't have to do it for the money. But what we did, just for you in the audience, he donated his biggest fee, you know, the entire fee, to his favorite nonprofit. But getting to meet people like Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, that's part of my job, which I absolutely love.
Wow, 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 wow. That's what I say to that. And I just want to mention a few more. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bruce. eBay, CNN, Citi, Chase, Cartier, Paris. Wow, Boeing, that's huge. Bank of America, Apple, Amazon, Aetna, and ABC. This is phenomenal, Bruce. And it shows you're a high caliber, top class, like I said, top performing and most successful in, you have to be very, very wonderful in your communications, and you are, Bruce. And that I'm just so thankful there are people like you in the world.
Well, I appreciate it. And the photo that you're showing now is one of my favorite of all time, because when we grew up as kids, before we moved to Las Vegas, we were living in New York City. So my dad, because he was born in Brooklyn, his favorite team was the Brooklyn Dodgers. So we went to Ebbets Field in Brooklyn to see the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Wow.
My favorite player was Jackie Robinson when I was a kid. So then when we fast forward, my very first sports client was Jackie Robinson. And that photo that you're showing there really means the world to me, because Jackie was my hero. And you mentioned Bank America just a few minutes ago. The very first booking I had for Jackie Robinson was in California for Bank of America. So meeting people like Jackie Robinson and having them as clients. And then thanks to Jackie, I met Muhammad Ali, and Ali was my second biggest client. And you'll love this. Ali, when I first met him, he loved it because, I don't know if you know this, but I was born in Louisville. I was born in Louisville. So when I met Ali, I said, Ali, you're going to love this. I was born in Louisville. And the story is, my dad was just finishing up being at the Army, and he was at Fort Knox in Kentucky. So we lived in Louisville. So Ali loved that I was born in Louisville. So I had to share that.
Yes, what a great connection. And these are just incredible photos. And that's why I had to include them, Bruce. And there's so many. Look how happy you are. And how old are you there in that photo?
I'm about 26, give or take, about 26. I mean, that was at the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about speaking, I mean, I know you would enjoy this, and the people that are watching. The way that it all started was Michael Landon was my client, and I loved Michael dearly. So
Right.
naturally, I was at the Johnny Carson show often with Michael Landon. So
Wow.
one evening after Michael was on the Johnny Carson show, Carson comes backstage. He says, "Guys, to me and Michael, how would you guys like to come to my home in Malibu? I'd like to invite you to dinner in Malibu." Well, obviously, Michael and I said, "Johnny, we'd love to go." So that evening, we're at Johnny Carson's home, this beautiful, luxurious home right on the ocean in Malibu. So Johnny takes out some Cabernet Sauvignon. He pours it. He toasts Michael and me. He says, "Bruce, I've got an idea. I know you have a good PR firm. I think you should have a celebrity speakers bureau." And he toasts me. So I said to Johnny, well, I said, "Johnny, yeah, that's a good idea. But I said, I have a PR firm. I've never done what you're suggesting." He says, "Well, I'm going to make it easy. I'll be your very first client." Michael says, "I'll be your second client." And the next day, Ed McMahon calls me up. He says, "Bruce, I hear you're starting a speakers bureau. I'm going to be your third client." So that's how I owe everything to Johnny Carson and Michael Landon. Isn't that great?
Wow. Wow. Thank you,
Yeah.
Johnny, and thank you, Michael. And I've got a picture here of you and Michael up on the
Yes.
screen. Isn't that phenomenal? What an incredible story. So you had a trifecta. You had 3 clients, a trifecta. I'm speaking gambling terms because we're
Yes.
talking Las Vegas, right? And
Yes. Yes.
so you had incredible 3 trifecta blockbuster superstars to as the foundation of your celebrity speakers company.
And what's amazing, that's 50 years ago. That's when it started, was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's how my business began. And Mom, again, was instrumental because we had an office at General Service Movie Studios, okay? One of the most famous movie studios in Hollywood. Mom was a pioneer in PR. She and one other woman were the only 2 women that had a Hollywood entertainment PR firm. So
Wow.
after MGM, when I joined Mom, I was at the studio, General Service Studios. Mom one day says to me, "Bruce, I hear that Michael Landon is shooting a film on our studio lot." Thanks to my mom, I went to the studio. They let me in, because they knew me. And when Michael finished his scene, I went up to Michael. I gave him my business card. I said, "Michael, Bonanza was my favorite TV show of all time. I would love to invite you to lunch. Will you consider having lunch with me?" He says, "I'll get back to you." Very shortly after that, he invites me to lunch, and you'll love this. We're at lunch. He says, "Bruce, I'm so excited. I'm working on this brand new show. It's called Little House on the Prairie." That's how I started working with Michael, right when he started working on Little House.
Wow.
But again, it was my mom. My mom was the one who said, "Hey, Bruce, I just heard that Michael is shooting on the lot." So thanks to my mom, I got to meet him. And to this day, I was just talking earlier to Cheryl Landon, his eldest daughter. So thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, I'm going to put my hands together in prayer. Thank you,
Yes.
Michael. And also hello to Cheryl. And thank you so much for doing all of that, Bruce. That's incredible. And I used to watch Little House on the Prairie. I loved it. And it's one of my favorites. And isn't that something? So again, that kind of once in a chance moment to have that opportunity. I'm really learning a lot. Thank you, Bruce, for letting
well, thank you. And also because you're in the industry, so you'll appreciate this. Everybody knows Michael from Bonanza and, of course, Little House and Highway to Heaven.
Yeah.
And they know him as the actor. A lot of people don't realize Michael wrote many of the scripts, many. And he also produced and directed, like on Little House. Like if you ever watched the series, he directed many of Little House, and the same thing with Highway to Heaven. So not only was he a great actor, he directed and produced and wrote. So yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. What a handsome guy too. Oh, did the women love him?
What a talented man. And I loved Highway to Heaven, that series as well. I think my dad loved it too. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's such a wonderful It's so wonderful to hear these stories. And what a great guy. What a super great guy. I'm going to switch the photo here because this is a fun one. Now, I've always loved Marie Osmond. And here's a picture of you and Marie Osmond, and she's hugging you. And I love this. Where was this? And tell us about it.
Yeah, no, it's a great, and I absolutely love Marie Osmond. I mean, God, she's one of my all-time favorite clients. That was right here in Vegas. And what happened, she and Donnie had a show at the Flamingo Hotel right here in Vegas for 10 years. It was one of the most popular all-time shows. It was running for 10 years. In the final year, the #1 entertainment columnist here in Vegas at the time, a guy named Norm Clark, he knew that I was working with Marie. He said, Bruce, I'm doing this special series at the Smith Center here in Vegas. Smith Center is really, it's our nicest, biggest, all kinds of shows go on there. He says it's a little bit different. It's a sit-down interview. The audience is there, but the stars are not performing. They're being interviewed by me, and it's interactive. Wow. So he asked me if I would go to Marie and ask her, and Marie said, absolutely, I'll be happy to do it. So I was with Marie, and Norm did an amazing job. The one thing that Marie asked, and you can certainly understand, you probably are aware that unfortunately she had a son around 21 years old and he committed suicide. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Anyway, so Marie said to me, Bruce, it'll bring me to tears if I have to talk about my son. Can you just ask Norm not to bring that up? But anyway, that entire evening was an hour and a half. She is so funny. I mean, the audience loved her. Norm was great. But of course, wouldn't you know it, one of the questions came up about her son. And that's okay. And, she started crying, but she told the audience member, she answered the question in the best way she could. But what a talent. I mean, Marie, she has the most incredible voice. I mean, of course, they've had all the big hits when she was part of the Osmonds, but as a solo artist, she also has done amazing singing. She's been on Broadway. So what I'm saying is she has an incredible voice. Some people know her from the Donnie and Marie songs, and they're good. But over and beyond that, she has a very powerful, gorgeous voice. So I absolutely love her, and she is funny. She is so funny.
Is she? Yeah, I've noticed I've watched a TikTok, I think, on her TikTok or her Instagram. She is funny. She was talking about Taco Bell, and she made I guess they were snowed in. She was touring, and they were snowed in, and the whole production crew wanted Taco Bell. So they couldn't drive through because it was too snowy. So she had to walk through the drive-through, and it's hilarious and it's so funny. And she's ordering bean burritos with extra onion, which I love, from Taco Bell. And I know it's fast food. I know it's not I know it's fast food, but it is delicious. I have to say that, Bruce. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a great story. But yeah, her sense of humor is just absolutely incredible. Yeah. And something for your viewers, and they may enjoy this, and a lot of people may not know. In her first marriage, she got married very young, very, very young. Okay. So that marriage didn't last too long, and more of it had to do, they were both so young. Then she got involved in a marriage for 20 years. That was one of those marriages from hell. No, that one was, yeah, that's okay. But that marriage, it was so bad that when it ended, they both had to sign agreements that they couldn't discuss it. But here's the great part of the love story. So when the bad marriage ended, what happened? She went back to her first original husband, who they were married so young. And they've been together now about 10 years, and they are so happy, and they're a beautiful, beautiful couple. So her love story wound up being a happy one.
Oh, great. I'm
so great.
It's wonderful. That's a wonderful story. And I was clapping. I just want to let you know, I was clapping for when you said 22 years of marriage, because that's a long time of investment. And so I was just saying clapping on that. But now I understand that the second marriage was not the best for Marie, but what a lovely story to come full circle and the first marriage reunite. What a loving and a beautiful story. I'm so proud of her.
Happy. I'm very, very happy. And right during her last year here in Vegas, she was so proud. She has some beautiful kids. One of her daughters had just gotten her license as a hairstylist. here in Vegas. So anyway, she's a great mom. Besides being an amazing entertainer, she's an incredible mom
I
as well.
adore her. I adore her, and I'm so proud of her. And bravo, Marie, on your marriage that you have now. And it's a beautiful, beautiful love story. Thank you,
Yes.
Bruce, for sharing that.
Sure.
So I'm going to switch the picture up because we have so many great ones to talk about. Now, this is, I have to say something here. This is a very special lady, Ninon de Vere de Rosa. Hi, Ninon. I want to give you a shout out and a beautiful thank you and acknowledgement. Ninon, mwah, we love you. And,
Yes.
and it's because of Ninon that I was introduced to you, Bruce. So I want to give her a thanks and a special acknowledgement and also say thank you, Ninon. It's because I have Film Talk with AJ Dean. Ninon taught me everything so that I could do my own show. So Ninon, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Isn't that right, Bruce?
Oh no, she's incredible. I booked her as a speaker here in Vegas several times. She's charismatic, she's elegant. What a great speaker. And her voice and her accent, let's face it, I mean that accent is classic, you know?
Yes, yes.
So big fan.
She taught me everything. So I owe credit to her and want to respectfully, I respect you so much, Ninon, and I want to say that so that everybody knows how great she is in the entertainment industry and as a producer and an entertainment performer and a speaker. You're right. She's very, very talented. She's got a beautiful English accent. And of course, I'm English too. So, and it was wonderful to work with her on Ninon Speaks. And that's still going. She's still doing Ninon Speaks, and I'm so proud of her.
I love it.
Yes. And then now she's in her own studio, and it's lovely and beautiful. And she's also doing her own radio show, I think, as well. So I wanted to mention that. Okay, here's another great photo. Tell us what this one's about, Bruce.
Yeah, well, that's Ed O'Bannon. And I'll tell you about Ed O'Bannon. First of all, I mentioned earlier, as you know, I'm a UCLA film grad. So UCLA is in my heart. And by the way, I'm going to mention about the picture. So when I was at UCLA, if our basketball team ever lost the game, it was like news. We won 10 NCAA championships, 10, okay? And Coach John Wooden was our coach. No coach ever has won 10 NCAA championships at UCLA. So fast forward, Coach Wooden became a client, and I booked Coach Wooden for maybe 50 speaking engagements. One of the big stars for UCLA, which is Ed O'Bannon there, and he makes me look like a shrimp, but he's 6'8". All right, so Ed is 6'8". But around 1995, somewhere in there, UCLA won the NCAA basketball championship, and Ed was voted the MVP, the most valuable player. So my alma mater, UCLA, won the NCAA championship, and so that was great. So as soon as they won the championship, because I booked the biggest name sports stars you can name in the world, so I approached Ed and I said, Ed, I'm so proud of you. I want to book you. And of course, I have. In fact, this year he did 5 speaking engagements for a very big insurance company in Minneapolis. So that's Ed, and that was taken at Lowry's about a year ago. He's wonderful, beautiful wife, and he was a great UCLA basketball player. They were number 1.
Amazing, amazing. How did that make you feel? Was there a special bond that you had because you're both, alma mater, you're both alumni, right?
Yes, there's definitely, when you graduate from a school like a UCLA, there's always a bond. If you meet somebody who also was a UCLA alum, and of course he led our school to the NCAA championship. So, I was watching it on television and rooting for him. So when I got to meet him in person, it was great. And talking about the world of basketball, just to name one, Michael Jordan. I booked Michael Jordan. So I am a big sports fan. So when I get to book sports idols of my own, it makes it even more fun for me. But Ed is a wonderful guy, and I'll never forget, thanks to Coach John Wooden, that I wound up getting to meet Ed.
Incredible. And such a great photo, Bruce. And so you got to book Michael Jordan as well. That's phenomenal. That's incredible. How many people get to do that? That's very, very rare. And what an incredible project for you. My God.
You mentioned Nike and how much you love Nike.
Yeah.
And again, he is one of the wealthiest sports people in the world. But I'll tell you, it's kind of an interesting story. Of course, he's with the Chicago team, and a very big company in Chicago is called Brock's Candy, Brachs, Brock's Candy. And they came to me and they said they were having a very big event in Chicago. And they said, I know Michael is wealthy and all. I don't know if he'll be willing to do it. But the bottom line is, just like with Richard Branson, I was able to get Michael to donate his fee to his favorite nonprofit. And because it was very close to where he lived and they were saluting him, he agreed to do it. But of course, he led the Chicago Bulls to 6 championship teams, the Chicago Bulls. Wow. So yeah, working with Michael was a very special honor. But I've gotten to work with so many of the sports legends because we've been doing this for 50 years, you know?
Yes, yes. And I do want to mention, Jeff and I recently watched Air, you know, the documentary.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. And I want to thank Patti Price for recommending that to me, and Kimberly Skyrme as well. Wonderful story.
Yeah.
You've seen it, right? You've seen it, Bruce?
I have. Yeah, I enjoyed it very, very much. It's a good film. So yeah, I would recommend that to everybody. And also, since we were talking about Elvis earlier,
yes,
anybody over the holiday season, if they want to see the Elvis film, I thought that actor was phenomenal, and he got a lot of awards. And to show how good he was, the Elvis family supported the film and how good he was as an actor. You can imagine what a challenge to have to be in a feature film and act to be Elvis. Yeah. But I really enjoyed that film. So
it was great. I enjoyed it so much. I love the music. I love the gospel. I loved all of that. The background, you know, of him growing up in the church. Fascinating, wasn't it?
Yes, and it's so sweet and so timely that you mentioned that, because obviously Elvis became a good friend. The gospel recordings meant so much to him because of his family background. And he said, Bruce, I wish and hope that everybody can enjoy my gospel albums as well, because, you know, that was in his heart. You know, obviously the rock and roll, I mean, there was nobody ever like him.
Yes.
But he took such pride in the gospel singing, and all goes back to Sun Records there. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. He's very proud of all of the gospel recordings.
Wonderful. And he was a spiritual man. I mean, he believed in God. Did you feel that? Did you get that, Bruce, from your time with him?
100%. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So certainly he was one of the biggest influences in my life, especially because he was the very first big celebrity that I ever worked with. And of all people, it was Elvis. So
yes. And also,
words.
What an incredible superstar power he had. And of course, the women loved him as well, because he did the hip move. That was like a groundbreaking thing at that time in the 50s and 60s. Nobody moved their pelvis, and moving that pelvis, right? Moving the pelvis was kind of like a sexual kind of move, right? A dance move. Right,
absolutely. No, absolutely. There's no question about it. But he was just so charismatic and so dynamic. Yes, regarding the women, and the same thing with Michael Landon. You know, there's many others we can talk about, but since I did work with both of them had such a magnetism with the women. Michael, and you'll get a kick out of this, because I was with Michael so often when he would guest on a national TV show. So when he went into the makeup room, intentionally, he always went in there without a shirt on. And he did it because he knew the women would love it, you know? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but what a handsome guy. And that smile, you know, Michael's smile, it was just so infectious. And the same with Elvis.
Yeah, it was incredible, wasn't it? And excuse me, I'm gonna have a little bit of water here.
Yes.
And so that's so funny, because I was gonna say, having your shirt off, of course, that would make women look. And then when Elvis moved his pelvis, that's a rhyme there. Elvis moved his pelvis.
Yes, exactly.
You know, back then it was a big thing and a new thing, but nowadays it's very common, you know, bump and grind and all the moves that they have, the young kids nowadays, what they do. But that's such a fun story. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to show your logo here. This is Bruce Merrin, Public Relations and Advertising. And if people are interested, Bruce, let's talk about that. How can they contact you on Facebook, or how do you, if you want to be your client?
Yes. Well, on the social platforms, it's easy. Facebook is my name, Bruce Merrin. On Instagram, it's Bruce Merrin Speakers. And then on Twitter, it's just a little bit different. But anyway, the easiest way certainly would be Facebook, Bruce Merrin. And of course, my website is Bruce Merrin Speakers.
Yes, and
But,
here's your logo. Here it is, Bruce
thank
Merrin.
you.
Yes, celebrity speakers. And look for this logo and check out Bruce's website and get in contact with him. And you're still representing people, right, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. I I'm so passionate and I love so much what I do. And I'm very blessed because I do have the two companies. We still do many public relations campaigns, and some of them are worldwide. So the publicity I do, and we're always booking celebrity speakers and entertainers all around the world. So I'm lucky that I have both companies and I just do what I love, passionate
Yes.
about it,
You're
impacting lives, right?
impacting lives. That's right. And you're so good at it, Bruce. And also, I do want to thank you for all your support of me. You've always been supportive and positive and always been there for me whenever I reached out to you. And you're an all around superstar guy. You know, like I said, you're a legend and you're an icon. And I want everyone to know how great a quality of person you are and how very special you are. And there's no one like you, Bruce. You're very rare and you're a super gem. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Well, I appreciate it. And by the way, you live in a beautiful place in that Portland area. I've been there many, many, many times, and I love it. I love it. So I had to share that as well. And I think you're incredible.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Bruce. Thank you so much. We have a picture here, a nice portrait of you, and then another picture where you're at an event, I believe, and you're going to be speaking. So is this at an event? The second
Yes, it
photo?
is. Besides booking the speakers all around the world, I've gotten requests often for me to speak. And the topic of my presentation is the first two letters in profit are PR. First two letters in profit are PR. So that was me speaking at an event. One that I was really very proud about, and I'll just share with you. There's a group called PRSA, that's Public Relations Society of America. That's the biggest public relations organization in the world. And there are hundreds of thousands of members, hundreds of thousands. They picked me to be the keynote speaker in Omaha, Nebraska. So yeah, that was me, that photo that you're showing, giving my talk. The first two letters in profit are PR. And obviously, you know my passion for PR. So thank you for showing that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, and you're so good at it. You're the top professional at it, Bruce. And I adore you and love you. And I want everyone else to know about you, how great you are. I do want to go back in time. I'm going to switch the photos here for a moment, and I'm going to talk about the Stardust now. It's very important to me. My dad took me to the Stardust before it was demolished, and we stayed there. It was an incredible hotel. This is old vintage Hollywood, which I love. And you remember it too. You've got fond memories as well, don't you, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. When we moved to Las Vegas in 1956, the Stardust was one of my absolute favorite hotels. I went there often, and it had such great history. And fast forward, then when I moved back to Vegas in 1991, we did the PR for all of the shows in that showroom at the Stardust. And if you remember, the Stardust had a very unique kind of showroom, which I always really, really, really loved. And so I have nothing but great memories of the Stardust. And then when we talk about the PR, one of my clients, sadly in Vegas, sometimes these wonderful hotel resorts get sold and then they got taken down. The Stardust became the Mirage. But my client did the sale of the Stardust. So so I was involved, even though I'd rather see the older hotels stay, but since they knew that they had to unfortunately demolished the Stardust, my client was the one that sold the property. But I have great memories from the Stardust, and one that I'll just finish up with. Obviously, I worked with so many celebrities, but Siegfried and Roy would be up at the top of my list. Siegfried and Roy were incredible, and I worked with them on so many shows at the Mirage, where they headlined for years. But I first met them at the Stardust. I met Siegfried and Roy at the Stardust, and when I saw them perform, Superstar was the name I thought in my head. They were true superstars, and I'll never forget Siegfried and Roy. So it's great that you pulled that up on the Stardust. That was a big memory. I met them there at the Stardust.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. It's so great to hear that you met these incredible magicians. And were they kind of young, Bruce, at that
they
time?
were young at that time when I met them at the Stardust. They were. And then fast forward, the president of the Mirage was a gentleman named Bobby Baldwin. And Bobby was a legendary figure. And obviously to become president of the Mirage is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with Bobby Baldwin right before the Mirage opened up. Now, I didn't have the say in saying, get Siegfried and Roy, but I was talking with him. I said, Bobby, have you decided who you're going to book at the Mirage? He says, yes, we are going to headquarter Siegfried and Roy at the Mirage. We think they have worldwide presence. And it was a brilliant move for them to make, because they were the biggest stars in Vegas for years, the biggest stars. But that's how I really got to know Siegfried and Roy really well. And I visited them many times at their home. And some of the nicest entertainers that I have ever worked with in my life. I love them both dearly.
Oh, so great to hear. Thank you, Bruce. And they'll always be in our heart as well. And I just love hearing about that. Here's another photo. I wanted to switch up. Hope it's okay to switch the subject.
Sure.
And here, this is another great sports photo. Tell us about it.
It is. Yeah, that's Dusty Baker. Yeah. And before I moved here to Vegas, I lived in Calabasas in California for 22 years. Wow. Dusty was one of the many LA Dodgers at the time that was my neighbor, okay, was my neighbor. Now, when Dusty was a player, one of the greatest players in baseball of all time, when he retired, again, he was living in Calabasas, I was living in Calabasas. He came to my office, he said, Bruce, I'm in kind of a conundrum now. I've been this great player, but I'm trying to figure out what's the next thing that I can do. I said, Dusty, I've known you for so many years. I said, I think you would be a great manager, a great, baseball manager. Fast forward, he became the manager of the San Francisco Giants, then the Chicago Cubs right there. And then he went to Houston, and with the Astros, he won 2 World Series championships with the Astros. So that was taken at Wrigley Field when he was the manager of the Chicago Cubs. And he came within 1 game of taking the Cubs to the World Series. But that photo means a lot to me because Dusty was such an important, he's one of those people that's way more than, he's not just a client, he's a friend.
Yeah.
He's a dear friend. Mm-hmm. So that was taken in his office at Wrigley Field. And we have the Blue Blocker sunglass shirt on because Blue Blockers was my PR client for 30 years, the Blue Blocker sunglasses.
Wow.
So I had the idea, which you'll love, AG. I went to Joe, who is the president of Blue Blocker, says, why don't we do an annual Blue Blocker Sunglass Day event at Wrigley Field? So that was one of the years that we did it. And Dusty was the manager. So great memories. I love Dusty so much.
Oh, yes. I love hearing that too. And Blue Blocker, I remember that was all the rage and it was very trendy and popular. And going from a friend and neighbor to a friend and business professional as well to help him as a coach. I just love that, Bruce. That's
yes. And it's great helping people you really admire and respect. Yeah. And it was a great suggestion. He's one of the greatest managers of all time. So
yes.
Maybe it's really good.
Yes, he really is. I agree. Okay, I'm going to go to another photo here. It's going to be back in time a little bit. And this is what we were mentioning before. We were talking about Ed McMahon. And of course, you have President Ford here as well. Tell us about this. These are great, Bruce?
Yes, well, thank you. Well, first of all, on the one on Ed McMahon, I got to be very friendly with Ed McMahon because I was at the Tonight Show so often. I mean, literally hundreds of times. So as I told in the story earlier, when I knew that I was going to have my Celebrity Speakers Bureau, Ed called me up. He says, I want to be the third member of your bureau. That was taken at Ed McMahon's home. He had a beautiful home in Beverly Hills. So
Ooh.
that was taken after a big speaking engagement. That one I remember was for Wells Fargo in California.
Oh,
So
we love Wells Fargo.
me too. Me too. I'm glad you love it. I love Wells Fargo as well. So bravo to Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
But that was taken at Ed's home. He had a very beautiful home. And his wife, Pamela, I'm still to this day very close with his wife, Pamela. And they love Vegas, by the way. When he came to Vegas, his favorite restaurant was Morton's. So
Mm.
whenever he came to Vegas, he said, Bruce, make reservations for us for dinner at Morton's. So anyway, he was great. Now, President Ford, an amazing guy. Going back to beginning with President Reagan, I booked all of the past presidents. That photo that you're showing there was taken right here in Las Vegas. I was able to book him for a very big event right here in Las Vegas. And it's funny because you see that shirt. Do you remember in the 70s, Garth Brooks wore shirts like I was wearing right there? It was like a Garth Brooks shirt. But President Ford was a very good speaker. You know, it's interesting. I'm not political. Like I've been on Facebook 12 years. I never post political posts, but I'm so lucky. I booked all of the presidents and they've all been wonderful. And he was such a gentleman. So I really enjoyed working with President Ford. And he also was a very good athlete. He was a football player at the University of Michigan.
Wow.
But President Ford was wonderful. And every time that I booked him as a speaker, he never let me down. And I really admired his wife, Betty Ford, so much for all the amazing work that Betty Ford did, you know?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, she did with the Betty Ford Clinic for rehabilitation and helped so many people. Just a lovely couple. And how wonderful that he probably was always prepared and had interesting and very succinct and good points in his speech. It must have been great to be there. What a time in your life. I love it. I love all of these.
Yeah, and working with the Secret Service was always fun because whenever I booked the
Yes.
past presidents, I had to deal with the Secret Service, the nicest people. But again, President Ford was wonderful, a really good speaker. The audiences, every time that I booked President Ford, they loved him, and very dynamic and wonderful guy. So I have nothing but the best memories of President Ford and also President Reagan. And then you fast forward, but those
Yes.
two of the first ones that I worked with that I loved.
Incredible, incredible. And yes, we love the Secret Service men. Thank you out there to all of them who serve our president and also presidents. And also we love the FBI. I just have to get that plug in because the FBI, they're still out there. They're still working for defending our country, United States of America. So we appreciate them as
Yes.
well. Okay,
Yes.
I have to end here on this last photo because it's such a Vegas photo. It's so classic. It's so great. Here you are, Bruce, with Las Vegas, showgirls. Isn't it the classic photo?
Yes, no, I love it. And that was a really fun PR campaign. We handled the public relations for it was a new airline at the time, and the airline was flying from Spain to Las Vegas,
Oh,
Spain to Las
wow.
Vegas, and then Las Vegas back to Spain. So that was taken back then at the time. It's called McCarran Airport. They now call it Harry Reid, but that was at the airport, and it was taken after the plane from Spain had landed in Las Vegas.
Oh.
We had the showgirls there, and we took that photo right in the airport. And it's a great memory, but I don't mind being around the showgirls. I love it.
Yeah, that's part of
Yeah,
Las Vegas, isn't it, Bruce?
yeah, but that's a wonderful photo. I like that photo a lot. And it brings back a great memory. It was a really fun PR campaign, and our client in Spain, they were really happy. So that made me happy.
Oh, we love Spain. You know, I have part Spain in my DNA.
Ah,
So, yes, so I love that, as well as Italian, of course, right? I have that as well. But Bruce, it's been so wonderful to have you as a guest, and I want to, we're going to have to start wrapping the show up. I'm so sorry, but
of course.
it's been such an incredibly thrilling and fun time with you. I could go on all day. Sincerely, I really could. But I want to ask you if you want to do a shout out or anything you want to promote or talk about, and then we're going to do our heart messages. Okay, our let's see, do I have a heart symbol around here? Okay, I have this.
Yes, good.
We're gonna do our heart. Here's a heart symbol. We're gonna do our heart messages soon.
Yes,
Where's my other hearts? Okay, well, they're not here at the moment, but anyway, this is good enough. This is a good one, right? Okay.
yes. Oh, yeah, I like that heart.
Do you like that? Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
So Bruce, is there anything that you would like to, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, or thank you, or acknowledgement, or anything you'd like to promote?
Well, forget about the promoting. People can contact me on that, but certainly, obviously, all my love in the world to my mom because I owe everything to her. And obviously, all my love to Mocha. I've been with Mocha for 23 years. And certainly, my love to all the people in the industry because working in the entertainment industry, it's the time of my life. So that's what I would like to say. And then you go ahead, AJ, with yours.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And my heart message um, is to always take a moment to go for a walk or take your time to smell the roses. I know I had a heart here.
Yes,
This is my
I
heart
like
message.
it.
You know, I know it's an old cliche to stop and smell the roses, but especially in today's world, we all need a time to reflect. And that can be quiet time, it can be meditation, it can be prayer, but take some time today to smell the roses for yourself or your own quiet time so that you can have time to reflect on your life and your goals and the things that are important to you and prioritize those and focus on those. So that's my heart message for today. And thank you so much. I hope did you like that heart message, Bruce?
No, I love that. And since we're closing, I'll share. I almost every night do meditations to Enya music. I love Enya. So I put on Enya music and I do meditation. So I love your message and it's heartfelt and I'm with you 100%.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you, Bruce. Well, Bruce, you've been a wonderful guest, and I consider you one of my friends, dear friends in Las Vegas. I respect and admire and love you so much. There's no one like you. If I can ever help you in any way, please reach out to me. I'm here for you to support you or promote you in any way I can. And everyone out there, I want to say, please contact Bruce Merrin Celebrity Speakers or Bruce Merrin's this one right here. I'm going to switch it. Bruce Merrin's Public Relations and
Sure.
Advertising Company. And you can get in contact with Bruce on Instagram or follow him on Facebook and support him any way you can. And thank you so much, Bruce.
It was an absolute pleasure. And the next time I'm in Portland, you know who I'm going to call.
Yes, yes. Jeff and I will look forward to that, Bruce. We'll love that. And we'll have to find a nice restaurant, you know, something with a little bit of Hollywood flavor in it to take you to, okay?
I definitely look forward to it. And I think you're amazing and you're incredible. And it was so much fun guesting on your show. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. And much love to you and Mocha and also your cat. Okay.
Yes, the snowman, the famous snowman.
The
Thank
famous
you.
snowman. Okay. Well, until we meet again, Bruce, arrivederci.
Oh, I love it. And by the way, I love Italy. Italy is one of my favorite countries of all time. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.